Hey, it's Mitchell. Welcome to the Mitchell Millennial Podcast. Today we got a couple things to talk about. First up on the docket is the availability and the international distribution of the Xiaomi Redmi Airdots. Next, I want to talk a little bit about some of Xiaomi's involvement with companies like QCY, Yeelight, Roborock, and how that affects products like the Redmi Airdots. Before we hop into talking about the video, I want to thank everyone that supports me, uses the affiliate links. Without your continued support, really, I don't have sponsors on here, and I'd like to thank everyone that uses that stuff because it really does support me. Next, if you have questions, you want to talk about the podcast, go ahead and join my Telegram group. It's where I connect with all my viewership and answer questions, help people out, and just kind of the community helps each other out. And that's been enough. And let's just hop into the first subject of talking about Xiaomi's international distribution. Now, before we dive directly into the Redmi Airdots, for a little bit of context and talking about the way Xiaomi products are distributed, I'm going to tell you guys a brief story about the experience I had with my girlfriend's Xiaomi Mi 9 and why that relates to the Redmi Airdots. So the Mi 9 was announced, it was released in China, and my authorized Xiaomi retailer in Vietnam got one pretty quickly. My girlfriend had an old iPhone 6s Plus, and it was time for us to get her a new device. Fast forward to about a week after we bought the phone from this authorized retailer, we get a call from them basically saying that the retailer had made a mistake when we bought the device because we went in later in the day to get it. And we have a good relationship with them. They message me when they get new products in for me to review. They show my YouTube videos. I recommend people to go to their store to get products here in Vietnam. So overall, it's a pretty symbiotic relationship. And they called and said, hey, we sold you guys the wrong phone. We sold you the 8 gigabyte, 128 gigabyte of storage version of the phone. We charged you for the 6 gigabyte, 128 gigabyte model of the phone. You can either bring the phone back to us or you can just pay us the difference in the device. And I thought that this was really annoying. I thought that this was a little bit kind of shady in some way, but because of the relationship that we have with them and the fact that we got the Mi 9 at the time for a really, really good deal, to just go ahead and do it, right? It wasn't that big of a deal. They provided me with a loaner device for the time being while they got inventory of the 6 gigabyte, 128 capacity models. And my girlfriend was talking to them about the process and why is this going on? Why are you guys doing this? What's the deal? And essentially, what they said to us was, well, we sold you guys the wrong phone. We need to get the phone back so that we can send it back to China. And then once the phone gets back to China, we are going to go ahead and try to return it to Xiaomi saying it's defective. And that order of how they did it, to me, was a little bit confusing. And then a couple of things really made sense. So the distributor I have in Vietnam is an authorized distributor, but they are not an authorized distributor for Vietnam. And this is the way a lot of Xiaomi products get distributed, where you will have a Chinese source who is buying these wholesale from Xiaomi as a normal distributor would, and then they ship the devices to a retail location outside the country, or they will just send them to customers. The way a lot of Xiaomi products and a lot of the way the Xiaomi distributors work is that product, and this is also why, by the way, products will be marked up considerably higher depending upon the location that you're in, is you will have an authorized retailer or authorized distributor that buys those items in China, sends them to a retailer in a different country. And when those go over the border, there is the taxes and tariffs and whatnot that have to be paid on the device entering a new country. I know, at least in the case of my Airdots Pro, or when I was supposed to get them originally and ended up getting sent the wrong device, I had to pay close to a 30% import tax on the declared value of the product entering Vietnam. I'm pretty sure that that's how at least a lot of the authorized distributors here in Vietnam have to go about it, because if the margins on the product were higher, I'm not sure if we would be having to send back the device to the place I bought it from for what was a difference of like 35 or 40 bucks in price. Leading me to believe that the margins that they're making on the devices are smaller because they are having to pay import taxes on this stuff. And because of that, my price on a lot of the stuff here is higher. And that's how a lot of Xiaomi products are bought and sold. Even if you are buying them from an authorized distributor on Taobao, Trading Shenzhen, Alibaba, AliExpress, it's not necessarily going to be an official distributor or official retailer in the country that you're buying them from. And if you're buying them from a place located in China, sure, it's an authorized distributor in China, but they're having to send it overseas, and they're probably not an authorized retailer in whatever country you're located in. Now, Xiaomi also has their flagship stores that they open up in a variety of countries, and they're constantly expanding. And in the case of Vietnam, the Xiaomi products that you can get from the official Xiaomi store that is like owned and operated by Xiaomi, to a certain extent, obviously, their selection of products is quite limited, because all of the products that they distribute here in Vietnam are going to be in line with what Xiaomi has made available in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, the Mi 9 is not out yet. So the Mi official store doesn't have it in Vietnam yet, just because it's not released yet. Same thing with my Airdots, the Airdots Pro. You can't get them in Vietnam yet. Now, to talk about the Airdots Pro, the Airdots Pro are slated for an international release, but Xiaomi hasn't released them internationally yet. That's why the instruction manual is in English, Japanese, and in Mandarin, is because they will be getting distributed internationally. And for Xiaomi to print one information booklet with all of the different languages on it is a more streamlined manufacturing process than just having it in Mandarin or in Cantonese or in Japanese. So Xiaomi is prioritizing the Chinese market like a lot of electronics manufacturers are, such as Apple, because China is one of the fastest growing markets in the world. And so for manufacturing sake, Xiaomi is going to produce enough quantity of a product so that they do not have to warehouse that product, because warehousing costs money, and they will try to distribute them in China first. Now, why is Xiaomi not releasing more stuff internationally? Well, Xiaomi is trying really, really hard to roll out and to manage its brand image in a variety of different markets. India is a huge market for Xiaomi right now. It's just as big as China, or it's growing, I should say, as fast as China. So Xiaomi is doing stuff specifically for the Indian market, right? The Redmi Note 7 Pro is going to be available in China and in India and they're probably not going to be making it available in other parts of the world. Whereas the Xiaomi Mi 9 SE with the Snapdragon, or I'm sorry, the Mi 9X that's going to be made available in the coming months. It hasn't been announced yet, but the specs are pretty much confirmed. It's going to have a Snapdragon 675, 3300 milliamp hour battery, triple camera. So the camera is going to be slightly better than the Redmi Note 7 Pro. The battery is going to be smaller. The build quality is going to be better because it doesn't really make sense for Xiaomi to release a Redmi Note 7 Pro with a Snapdragon 675, 48 megapixel IMX568 camera, and a Mi 9 SE with a 3300 milliamp hour battery, Snapdragon 675, and slightly better camera. It just doesn't make sense for Xiaomi to bring both of those products to market because they kind of interfere with each other. The Redmi Note 7 Pro would be getting released with a price point of around $230 to $275, give or take. And because of that, Xiaomi is going to use the difference in build quality and the difference in kind of build and aesthetic and whatnot to differentiate the two devices. Whereas if they released a Mi 9X alongside of a Redmi Note 7 Pro, most consumers are going to see the bigger battery. Most consumers are going to see the rear-mounted fingerprint as not that big of a deal, and the headlining 48 megapixel Sony IMX568 sensor as the devices being kind of equal. But Redmi is a budget-oriented, as cheap as we can make it type of brand, whereas Xiaomi is trying to come in as more of kind of a Oppo or Huawei Honor competitor, which is like good spec, great design, great build, modest price. Not the lowest possible price, but a modest price. And that's why Xiaomi is being so careful with this international rollout, because in markets like the UK, in markets like Italy, France, or the United States, consumers are not well versed in the Xiaomi universe. So they don't want to be looked at as like the cheapest phone brand possible because it's going to hurt their brand image. Now that leads me right into talking about the Redmi Airdots. And the Redmi Airdots, which I believe just went on sale officially in China, the Redmi Airdots are going to be essentially the same thing as the Xiaomi normal Airdots, but their MSRP is going to be at like under $20 versus these, which is around $30. Why isn't Xiaomi going to release the Airdots at like a $30 or $35 price point in more markets? Well, for first-time buyers of Xiaomi, if they see that Xiaomi is offering these cheap true wireless headphones for $30, it makes them look like a cheaper brand. Whereas the Xiaomi Mi Airdots Pro coming in at $60, it's half the price of the last generation AirPods. It has a lot of the same features, good build, and good sound, and that's going to be at a slightly higher price point. So Xiaomi wants to differentiate the Redmi brand from the Xiaomi brand, which is why we're probably not going to be seeing the regular Airdots Youth Edition distributed in more countries. Now, what does this have to do with QCY? I'll leave a link to this in the podcast and on the YouTube channel. But Xiaomi started out as a software company doing custom Android skins, kind of like CyanogenMod. And then that kind of eventually turned into them making hardware for that software. And fast forward, and now because of the popularity of their hardware, Xiaomi has taken its notoriety and taken its funds, and they have now turned that into a whole conglomerate. And Xiaomi has a crowdfunding platform where brands can go and get funding for products. People can vote on products, kind of similar to a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And because it's on Xiaomi's platform, Xiaomi is getting to see a lot of these products before they get made available to the public. And from there, Xiaomi can decide if they want to invest some of their own money into this kind of fledgling brand so that they can utilize kind of the intellectual property of these brands for some of their own products. Now, this directly relates to QCY because QCY is a conglomerate, or it is part of the Xiaomi family. And so QCY has kind of the R&D, the technology, and the manufacturing side of things, whereas Xiaomi has kind of the aesthetic design and the marketing international side of things. So Xiaomi is able to bring something like the Airdots to market at a low price point. And I don't know this for a fact, but both brands have in-ear true wireless headphones with comparable Bluetooth 5.0, comparable size, comparable micro USB charging. And for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say that the QCY T1C headphones probably are made with the same components or some of the same components that the Airdots are and that the Redmi Airdots are. And it only makes sense for Xiaomi to do this because they can bring a product to market with lower R&D costs, cheaper, and utilize other people's manufacturing. Now, what exactly does this have to do with the availability of the Redmi Airdots Pro internationally, at least? Well, if you're looking to get the Redmi Airdots, even though they MSRP at under 20 bucks in China, you're probably going to have to pay a considerable markup if you buy them through AliExpress or if you buy them through GearBest, or Lazada, let's say. From everything I've seen online, the Redmi Airdots are going for like 35 to 40-ish bucks, which is a huge markup over their existing price point. Whereas the QCY T1C or other QCY headphones are coming in at a much lower price point, and in my opinion, are probably going to be just as good of a buy, if not better, than the Xiaomi branded Redmi Airdots or the Airdots Youth Edition. So if you are looking to get a budget pair of true wireless headphones and you're wary of buying something from the QCY brand because it's an unknown brand, and that is your hesitation to do so, you really shouldn't be hesitating, because at the end of the day, it's all kind of in the Xiaomi family. Xiaomi is more likely than not sharing components with QCY. And at the end of the day, the best value for consumers is to either A, wait for the Redmi Airdots or the Airdots Youth Edition or the Xiaomi Airdots Pro to become available in your country directly from Xiaomi, so you're paying close to that $60 price point, or to just buy something from QCY and accept the fact that you're buying not necessarily a Xiaomi product, but you're buying a product that is within the Xiaomi family brand of things. Xiaomi has a very similar strategy with Yeelight. I've done reviews on the Yeelight desk lamps that I've had and on the Yeelight bulbs that I've had. And Yeelight is one of those companies that Xiaomi's invested in, but you can go ahead and buy Yeelights from Xiaomi Official, and it's because they're all part of the kind of same conglomerate. So I hope that answers some of your questions in regards to buying Xiaomi products, and I hope that kind of answers some of your hesitation about whether or not you should buy something from QCY. Till next time, guys, it's been Mitchell coming to you from Hanoi. I am going to try to get my hands on the Redmi Airdots to see if there is much of a difference. Maybe I'll even take them apart for you guys and show you what's on the inside so I can confirm or deny if it is the same thing that we have inside of the Xiaomi Airdots. Until next time, it's been Mitchell. Peace.